Mangwanani, Malelepo, Vugenjani, Vanabe, Africa. On this show, we keep you abreast with the latest happenings across the continent. This is your favorite current affairs show, Africa. Good morning. My name is Aina Raizakoya alongside Diana Master. Mamukase?
Tamuka, mamukase.
Tamuka.
Shino, shirukufambere.
What does that mean?
It just means, is everything going well? It's like a casual
Also, how do I
term.
respond?
You can just say Jirkufa and then...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jirkufa.
Yes. All right. Now, on today's broadcast, we are going to be giving you the latest news on the African continent and beyond. And we're also going to be focusing on Zimbabwe later on as we speak to Talent Kore there to give us the latest news on the ground. Stick around after the break. We get into our top stories.
Yo, Joe, what's up, man?
Good.
Congratulations on your new promotions, man. Give these men a drink.
Coming right up. Hi, Joe.
Please drive sober. I didn't.
Government concluding youth internship. Now, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts, Elvis Kadu, says his government is concluding the implementation process of the youth internship program. Under this program, youth with various professions will be attached to work in different government ministries and institutions as a way of empowering them. Kandu told the media that the process had to be paused at some point to allow for the completion of the recruitment process for the defense service personnel to avoid a situation where youth are picked for both. He said the government has also engaged some corporate organizations that have also agreed to take up some interns. He explained that coming on board of corporate entities will increase the number of interns that can be taken up from the initial 2,000. Kandu has disclosed that government will unlock jobs for youth in the mining sector in the Copper Belt province, particularly at Mopani and KCM mines, once the two companies begin operating at full capacity.
Now moving over to South Africa, Limpopo cops arrested while on duty after allegedly robbing suspected undocumented foreigners. 4 police officers have been arrested in Limpopo for allegedly robbing suspected undocumented foreigners. The Provincial Anti-Corruption Unit arrested the officers on Tuesday in connection with the robbery in the Motetema policing area outside Globusdal. According to police spokesperson Brigadier Motlafela Mojapelo, the 4 police officers were on duty in a marked police van last Wednesday. When the alleged incident happened, they reportedly spotted 3 men withdrawing money from an ATM at the mall in Globusdal and suspected that they were undocumented foreign nationals, said Mochapelo. The members allegedly approached them and demanded passports. They arrested them when they failed to produce passports and put them into their vehicle. The police officers allegedly robbed the men of 5,000 rand and left them with 60 rand to take a taxi ride home, said Mochapelo. According to Mochapelo, the 4 men immediately went to the Motetema police station to report the incident. He said a task team was established to locate the officers. The matter was later handed over to the Provincial Anti-Corruption Team for further investigation and warrants of arrest that was subsequently issued for them. A joint operation to execute the warrants was conducted and the 4 members were arrested while on duty at the Sekhukhune district offices in Globusdal.
Moving on to our next story. Russia pilots reckless in drone collision. This is according to the U.S. The U.S. has accused Russia of reckless behavior after an American drone crashed into the Black Sea following an encounter with Russian fighter jets. Before the collision, Russian jets are said to have dumped fuel into the path of the drone, which the U.S. says was international airspace. The damage MQ-9 repair drone was brought down by the U.S. after it became unflyable, the Pentagon said. Russia has denied its two Su-27 fighter jets made any contact. The key question is whether the encounter was merely an attempt by Russia to disrupt the U.S. drone and its work, or whether it was a deliberate attempt to bring it down. U.S. military officials said the incident happened at about 7:30 Central European Time on Tuesday, and the confrontation lasted around 30 to 40 minutes.
Now moving over, United Nations provides ambulances for districts affected by terrorism, and this is in Mozambique. The United Nations Office for Project Services, with the support of the World Bank, has just released 10 ambulances to districts affected by terrorism in the northern Mozambican province of Cabo Delgado. This will be of great assistance to our people, especially in remote areas, said Joe Cipriano, administrator of Mocimboa de Praia, one of the districts covered by the aid, told reporters in Pemba, the provincial capital. The 10 ambulances were delivered to the Secretary of State for Cabo Delgado by Niroshine Nayagam, head of UNOPS in Pemba. The ambulances will be located to Meluko, Mueda, Metuge, Chiure, Makomia, and Kuabe, Mekufi, Muidumbe, Mocimboa de Praia, and Pemba districts. The province of Cabo Delgado has been facing terrorist attacks for 5 years by groups claiming allegiance to the self-styled Islamic State. The phenomenon has led to a military response since July 2021, with support from Rwanda and the Southern African Development Community, freeing districts such as Mocimboa de Praia and Palma, critical for liquefied natural gas projects from jihadist control. The conflict has already caused 1 million displaced people, according to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
In our next story, two problems with the naira redesign. A former central bank of Nigeria's deputy governor, Kingsley Moghalu, has expressed a dissatisfaction over a series of crises created by the naira redesign policy of Apex Bank. Moghalu noted that the terrible suffering and economic loss Nigerians experienced as a result of a faulty implementation of the CBN's naira redesign policy and the entry of the judiciary into central banking functions showed clearly how our institutions and Nigeria fail when institutions that are meant to be operationally independent become politicized. In a statement late Tuesday, he said currency functions were a core part of a central bank's mandate, and to that extent, he had no problem with the policy, except for two vital issues. First, the 90 deadline, which I warned was too short to be effectively executed, and second, the timing is close to the election. But as later became clear, there was a haphazard and incoherent communication of the purpose of the policy, he said.
And now we close off our top stories. Nearly 200 people now confirmed dead in Malawi. Nearly 200 people are now confirmed dead in Malawi after the devastating tropical cyclone Freddy ripped through southern Africa for the second time in a month. As the rain continues to fall and overwhelmed rescue workers struggle to find both the dead and survivors in the mud, that death toll is expected to rise. There's been extensive damage to infrastructure and homes. Power and communications are down still in many affected areas, and an estimated 19,000 people have been displaced by the heavy rains that triggered floods and mudslides. This whole area was filled with houses, said Matera President Steve Panganani, pointing to a wasteland of mud and water on a hillside. Now people are gone, things are gone, everything is gone, gone down from up there. Down. It was a newly created area. There were plenty of houses, but they're all gone. The United Nations said the lack of power and communications is hindering aid operations, and with most of the affected regions still inaccessible, the full extent of the damage remains unknown. Humanitarian medical care organization Médecins Sans Frontières has warned that the region's hospital is overwhelmed by the influx of injured people. The NGO fears that the number of cholera cases will increase in the country, which is already struggling with the deadliest infectious disease it has ever known. President Lazarus Chakwera on Tuesday declared a state of disaster in the country's southern region and now ravaged commercial capital, Blantyre.
We will take a trip to the House of Stone, where Talent Kore has the news on the ground shortly after the break.
Please walk responsibly. I did not. Ma'am?
We now take a quick trip to Harare, Zimbabwe to speak to Talent Gore to give us the latest news on the ground. Talent, Mamkase.
Mamkase Africa.
Aiwa, Tino Shinura. Let's get into your first story. President Mnangagwa slams bullies in schools. What's the story?
President Emerson Mnangagwa has slammed bullies in schools and has said that the case for bullying at the country's schools and parents must take a leading role in ensuring that their children are safe. Well, apparently this comes at a time the country has recorded an increase of worrisome cases of bullying, some of which have resulted in learners taking their lives whilst others drop out of school altogether. And this week, a 15-year-old boy from Bulawayo killed himself after complaining of bullying at his school. And just yesterday again, a pupil killed himself at school after he was about to appear before a school disciplinary hearing. So President Emerson Mnangagwa has told parents and even teachers to ensure that students or pupils should not bully other students, because this has raised a number of cases whereby pupils are taking their own lives due to bullying.
All right, now Talent, in your next story, public transport operators and vendors rejected $20 note. Tell us about this.
Yes, well, apparently in Zimbabwe, this is not something that is new. The public transport operators and also the vendors, they are using the $20 Zimbabwean note. They're saying that it is now out of circulation and we do not accept it. This also comes after they have rejected the $2 note, the $5 note, and now they refuse the $1 note. They're only accepting the $50 note and the $100 note. And the RBZ and Finance Minister Mthuli Ncube has said that it is unacceptable for the vendors and for the vendors and public transport operators reject as $20 note circulation, and they should accept money. But the traders and the public transport operators are very adamant in saying that they do not want those notes. If you have those notes, they will not accept it and you will not get any service from them.
I mean, realistically speaking, where does the $20 note get you? But anyway, opposition MDCT leader Douglas Ngonzora and his party tries to stop the proclamation of election dates. Let's get into this.
Yes, opposition MDCT leader Douglas Ngonzora and his party have dragged President Emerson Mnangagwa to the High Court to stop proclamation of election dates because of the controversy surrounding the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission delimitation report. Apparently, Ngonzora is seeking High Court determination to have the matter referred to the Constitutional Court. In an urgent chamber application to have the case heard at the Court, the MDCT leader says the delimitation report should be declared null and void for failing to satisfy constitutional requirements. Apparently, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission was conducting delimitation, and they presented a delimitation report to the president. And the MDCT is saying that the delimitation report should be declared null and void, and that the election date should not be proclaimed by the president. They say that him and his father are saying that the elections should not be held this year, as the delimitation report was null and void, and there might be cases of rigging through that delimitation report. So we're going to be following up on the matter to see what the Court or even the High Court is going to say concerning this matter.
Of course, we will be waiting for you to give us an update on that story. But thank you so much for Talent for bringing us the latest news on the ground in Zimbabwe.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
It's always a pleasure having Talent Gore on our show. Now let's take a look at the weather predictions before we return with our economic news.
In our economic news this morning, Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe auctioned a lot of $20 million as tobacco sales are expected to boost liquidity. Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe foreign exchange auction this week allotted a total of $20 million amid expectations that the commencement of the 2023 tobacco selling season will boost foreign currency liquidity and further strengthen local currency. A trading update released at the close of trading Tuesday shows that a total of $19.8 million was allotted on both the main and SME's auction platform. The number of bids received on the SME auction was 212 with a total value of $2.5 million with the highest rate received reaching $1 to 996 Zimbabwean dollars and a low of 910 Zimbabwean dollars.
Now in Tanzania, ATCL's first cargo plane almost ready for delivery. Tanzanians were treated to a rare glimpse of the national carrier's first ever cargo plane, which according to the manufacturer's schedule should be delivered in June 2023. The cargo plane was spotted at the Boeing Everett factory in Washington, D.C. in the United States with the registration number 5HTCO. The plane is among 4 Boeing planes that were ordered by the Tanzanian government in 2021 at a reported total cost of $726 million. Including a 787-8 Dreamliner and 2 737 MAX jets. According to reports, the national carrier's first dedicated cargo plane will be based at Kilimanjaro International Airport, which will become a strategic hub for cargo operations in Tanzania.
After the break, we will return with sports. Stay with us.
Please, put on your safety belt, sir. It's very important for your life.
The seatbelt doesn't make me drive comfortably. Yes, that's better. Please wear your seatbelt. I did not.
Now let's talk sports with Ari Hochad.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news and starting off with tennis news. It is the BNP Paribas Open that continues in Indian Wells in California, and it is the world's best players in action there, almost like a major tennis tournament. On the women's side of the draw, it is Iga Swiatek, the number 1 seed. She safely through. She beat Emma Raducanu of Great Britain. Raducanu played in the US Open final 2 years ago, or won it actually 2 years ago, and Swiatek won 6-3, 6-1, and she's through to the quarterfinals. Also second seed, Aryna Sabalenka, she beat Barbara Krejcikova in 3 sets, also through to the next round. And then Maria Sakkari, she's number 6 seed. She beat Karolina Pliskova, who was a tough opponent, Pliskova, and it's Sakkari that won 6-4, 5-7, and 6-3. On the men's side of the draw, number 4 seed, he's the defending champion, that is Taylor Fritz. He's safely through to the quarterfinals. He beat the Martin Fuskovic, and the score there was 6-4 and 6-3. Also, number 1 seed, Carlos Alcaraz, he's through to the quarterfinals. He won the first set against Jack Draper. Then Jack Draper of Great Britain had to withdraw because of an abdominal muscle injury, and he's out of the tournament. So it is number 1 seed, Carlos Alcaraz, through to the quarterfinals. Very exciting game. Daniel Medvedev, number 5 seed. He came up against Alexander Zverev, the number 12 seed, and a tight game, 3 sets. It was in the end Daniel Medvedev, the number 5 seed, going through 7-6, 6-7 and 7-5 in the third set. On to soccer news. UEFA Champions League, that continued a very dominant performance by Manchester City, and it was especially Erling Haaland, their striker, that scored 5 goals. That was in the round of 16 second leg game against Leipzig, and it was a total domination. Manchester City winning 7-0, and the aggregate there was 8-1. They through to the quarter-finals. Erling Haaland, 5 goals in the game, and he's the fastest player ever to reach 30 goals in the UEFA Champions League. It only took him 25 games. Also through is Inter Milan. They beat Porto 1-0. That is on aggregate. Their game ended 0-all in a draw, but it was enough for Inter Milan to go through to the last 8 for the first time since 2011. Continuing international sports news with the motor racing news. Formula 1 racing, the second race of the season about to happen. It's this coming Sunday, the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix in Jeddah. And the news from the Aston Martin team is that Fernando Alonso said that his team, his vehicle, his racing car can still get even better. He had a very good third position in Bahrain in the first Grand Prix. A bit of a surprise, and it was just the 2 Red Bull Hondas that beat him. He beat the Mercedes and the Ferrari drivers. That is the experienced Fernando Alonso. The design of the Aston Martin is based on the Red Bull, so they do have lots of success early in 2023 season. Red Bull owner or principal is Christian Horner. He said he's confident that the Red Bull can continue their winning streak. They're confident that they can win on all tracks. He said that every track is different, but he feels comfortable that the Red Bull Honda vehicle or the race car for 2023 can adapt to all racing tracks and all conditions. Closing off today's international sports news with rugby news. It is the Six Nations that come to a conclusion this coming weekend. All to play for Ireland. Ireland, they're going to host England in a very important game. If they win the game, they win the Six Nations for 2023. Injuries in the camp of Ireland, but there's also an injury in the England camp now. It is the forward Ollie Chesham. He's got an ankle injury and he cannot play this coming Saturday against Ireland. Also Wales, that will play against France. A tough game for Wales because France dominated their game against England, winning 53 points to 10. And the 2 injuries in the Welsh team, a very experienced backline player, that is Liam Williams. He normally plays fullback and wing, and he's out with a shoulder injury. He's also a British and Irish Lions player, so a big loss for Wales. And also Scott Baldwin, he's out with a pectoral muscle injury. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Please adhere to the speed limit. I did not.
NMH Ad 1 brings you news from all across Namibia. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact nmh1@synergy.com.na. NMH Ad 1, your lunchtime news companion.
How's it, Chief? It's more. Give me a full tank. Hey, big boss, change your tires, they are worn out.
You know what, I'll change it next month, it's fine.
Please check your tires. I did not.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You're watching Africa Good Morning. If you're just joining us, let's take a look at the highlights. Government in concluding youth internship process, and this is according to Kandu. Limpopo cops arrested while on duty after allegedly robbing suspected undocumented foreigners. Russia pilots reckless in-drone collision, this is according to the United States. Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe auction allots $20 million as tobacco sales expected to boost liquidity.
Those have been our stories. We thank you very much for watching our show this morning. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. On that note, it's all our love, all our light, and a happy Thursday.